So Apple has launched iPhone 13 and iOS 15. There's been a ton of speculation. It was slightly dampened by the big Apple backlash on the privacy front we saw a few weeks ago. That's been resolved, but it maybe has given Apple a serious problem for the next few months.
We've got a serious issue regarding our images, if they will at one stage be going to be looked through, but law enforcement are not going to go away. They're going to keep banging that drum. They want to get into encrypted databases in any way they can, and they will possibly try and change laws if they can to get at it. So this isn't going to go away. It's just how can users better protect their data and know what those risks are.
We're talking CSAM, of course, and Apple's idea to try and preserve privacy by running screening on device, on iPhones and other devices rather than in the cloud. But Apple's boxed itself in. Huge backlash about on-device screening. People hated the idea of that encroaching onto their iPhones. But in trying to sell everybody on doing it on device, Apple had kind of thrown the idea of doing it in the cloud under a bus by saying that's a horrible privacy measure or anti-privacy measure because we would have to look at everything. There's no filter. But now Apple's in a position. It said it's going to come back with a solution. Probably got, it needs to do something before the iPhone 14 turns up, and can't do on-device screening without risking another backlash. Can't do in-cloud screening without looking like it's being hypocritical with what it said about doing that in the first place. It's a very important measure. We all recognise the need to have something in place. Apple has potentially got itself caught flat-footed on this one.
I think the best thing about this whole debate is the whole debate. We've got finally, we've got people who aren't necessarily highly technical, but who do care about child abuse, and that's most of us, let's face it. They're actually taking an interest in the technology and how it can be involved in making this better for us. Of course, that's also a bad thing, because abusers will also be listening into this debate, and they'll also be taking on board the technology and how it works to their own benefit. And I think it's a debate that we need to have, but I'm not unsure what the answer is. I think, Jake, as a former law enforcement officer yourself, you must know this more than anybody, the low-hanging fruit argument. Criminals who don't know technology are more likely to get caught than the ones who do. Are we now going to get more technology-minded criminals?
Yeah, I mean, we've always had the big issue that local law enforcement will always catch the low-hanging fruit, those ones making mistakes, those ones that have just tripped up because they've done X, Y, or Z for whatever reason. But it's not always those that we want to be focusing our efforts and our time on. It's those ones that really understand the technology and how to evade capture, because they're the ones that are really the engine behind the world's indecent material. And so we need to focus on how to eradicate that. And it does involve the big tech firms. It does involve working with Apple and the likes of, but it's not necessarily the way about going about it with invading everyone's privacy and invading everyone's photos on their phones.
But two things have happened, right? I think on the one hand, what Apple has done is has kind of raised the spectre of cloud screening. So people weren't thinking about it, just normal everyday users. Now they're thinking, hang on, stuff I put in the cloud is being screened. But the other thing is, in its desperation, maybe not too strong a word, to justify and explain what it was doing, there is now more publicity, more public domain material available in terms of how hashed image matching works, what the measures might be put in place to prevent the defeat or the spoofing of those measures and all the rest of it. And there is, I think there has to be a question now is, have we put too much information into the public domain that now shines a light on how imagery is screened for anyway?